as long as you feel safe in the car, it's very exhilarating to go fast. I believe the fastest that I have actually gone was in a Monza race in Italy, and that was about 210 miles per hour. Quick reaction time, being able to endure long, hard races, and keeping your concentration. I think that those are some of the most important skills that a driver must have, and plus just downright being not afraid to go to the limits.
So, first of all, I would like to welcome you to Porsche San Diego. It's a video series, interview series that we call Porsche San Diego's Barn Finds. Today, I will be interviewing Margie Smith Haas. Welcome, Margie.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Shawn.
Would you like to say greetings to the audience we have?
Yes, I'd like to definitely thank everyone for coming. This is such an honor. I get very emotional when I talk, but Shawn contacted me after the big party, and I think this is great what he's doing and what he will continue to do. As you probably know, Shawn has got to be one of the top general managers in the country with his vision for promotion. I want to thank everybody for coming, and also Shawn, all of Shawn's guests and so forth. It, again, is a pleasure to be here and an honor to be recognized. Thank you.
So Margie, your story first came to me as we were getting ready to have our party July 13th, which was the classic launch for Porsche San Diego. And I had told, actually it was Jim Binford, which unfortunately he couldn't be here today. He has a party with his grandkids. He had mentioned to me that the first American female to have ever raced in the 24 Hours of Le Mans was going to be attending my party. And I couldn't tell you how honored I was when I heard that and so excited. And I'll tell you then, I remember walking through that evening and Bruce and Dan, and these guys were so excited. Bruce, Dan, thank you. They did an extraordinary job bringing together the Porsche Club of San Diego here. And they had, yes, please. And when I walked by, it was either Bruce or Dan that said, "Hey, Shawn, here is Margie's 914.6. I'm like, oh, and I had just missed you. And then our paths that whole night kept crossing. And finally, by the end of the night is when you and I spent some time together.
Right. In fact, it was fantastic to be able to walk up and say thank you to Shawn. I think for those of you who were here that evening, would you agree that has to be one of the biggest, most wonderful parties that you've been to for Porsche? And I came up to thank Shawn and try to make sure I did the thank yous, which I know we all like to do. And that's when he spoke to me, and I was so flattered that he even knew who I was. But I'm very honored, Shawn. Thank you.
Well, Margie, enough about the party. Let's talk about you, because that's what everybody's here for today. And you know, your story. We've spent a few days together now, talking, different lunches and breakfast. So I know your story a bit better. And so why don't you tell everybody what was the beginning? I love the beginning of your story. That first race. I believe you might have snugged something out. Could you tell the crowd about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, when I was younger, whenever I saw that video that you had up here, I did. When I saw, I instead of playing with Barbie dolls, I did play with little models in the dirt. Okay, when I saw that, I said, that's me, that's me. But the first time I ever raced was on one weekend when my parents were out of town, and they were supposed to be out of town for 2 or 3 weeks, and they came home early, unfortunately. And my boyfriend at that stage sort of dared me to, he said, hey, why don't you, let's go drag race. And I said, okay. So I popped the hubcaps off my father's Buick Electra, and I disconnected the odometer, and I took it to the drag races. That was great, had fun. It was bracket racing. I didn't do well. I think an Opel GT back then beat me because I broke my bracket. Of course, I broke out of the bracket because I was so quick in that beautiful car. And,
very fast.
So, but it was really exciting, and but the more exciting part was whenever my parents decided to come home a week early. Whoops! And the 3 marks were still on the tire, the hubcaps were off, and he did find out about 10 years later. Whenever I think I showed him a press release about where I was asked about what was the first time that I ever raced, and I said it's when I popped the hubcaps off my dad's Buick Electra. And so my dad was a little surprised, but at that stage he was very happy that he helped me with my start in racing.
Well, then I'm glad to hear that this video won't be the reason that your dad finds out.
Yeah.
Somebody else found out that way. So that was a pretty awesome story. As far as Porsche, and you're breaking into racing Porsches and your importance there. And I think it's incredibly important to the group that we have here today. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The first times that I started getting into Porsche, I was a member of the Arizona region Porsche Club of America, and I bought a little 914 1.7, and it was between that and a Corvette, and I thought, wait a minute, we got a fuel crunch going on here. I think I better think smart, school teacher budget. I need to get something that's not only really classy with the Porsche, but is going to give me good mileage, and so I bought the 1.7. I started going to I got a newsletter on a Friday, and I just joined Porsche Club, and it said there's an event in Holtville, and I said, where in the heck's Holtville? And from Phoenix, Arizona, it was about a 4-hour drive, and so I got my roommate to get in the car, put my Afghan Hound in the middle, and got to the racetrack and time trialed the 914. So then I also did slaloms and other time trials, and my involvement with Porsche, I have to say, it's really important to let everyone know how important your beginnings in Porsche are and the appreciation you have for the mark and the fun you have with it, because it's not just the cars, it is the people. And I've had Porsches ever since 1973, and that's how I got started. And I started taking, top time of the day, top time in my class, then top time of the day, and then I started in women's class, and then top time overall. And then from that point, Porsche catapulted me into getting to a professional racing career, and I owe it to Porsche. Thank you.
So the first professional racing was at the SCCA?
Yes, the first professional race. Wait, let me think here. SCCA. No, actually, it was. I think it was an IMSA race, and we ran with Wayne Baker at Road America in a 914 4-banger. And Paul and I don't know if you're aware, but my husband races professionally as well, or raced, and we met through racing, and we competed in that car at Road America, and then it was SCCA Pro, and then we started getting into the World Endurance Championship racing.
So we will break off into Paul and you guys' relationship there, because it's awesome and it's amazing, and I loved hearing the support, and you attribute a lot of your success and a lot of your victories not only just to Paul and his engineering, but also your communication with him. Was it SCCA that you had the accident that landed you into, say, your next career for a short time?
No, that was
TFA.
Oh, it was a street side accident that did that. And so what I did is I made a pillow of the car that I had the accident in, and it was a 914, and it was my first 914-6. And so I made a pillow of that car, and then in 1977, Paul was living in San Diego, I was in Phoenix, and we were going back and forth the date and stuff. And so they had the 77 Porsche Parade that Tom Hauser Sr. was chairman of. And they had the new show of the 928 and so forth. And Tom was quite close to the Porsche family, and so I presented him a model of his car right in front of everyone, in front of the parade. And the next day he said, Mrs. Dorothea Porsche, they had the penthouse right next to Tom's, he said she would really like to have one. And so I told her, I saw her, and I had already met Dr. Porsche, and I said I'd be very flattered if you would accept one as a gift. And that catapulted me into an actual career. The first 125 were made with wax and dye and batik, and then I got into producing them and starting to actually finally ship worldwide.
So I don't know if everybody in here knows that the company was TFA.
TFA car company.
So the first several times Margie and I talked, I kept hearing TFA, TFA, TFA. I didn't know what TFA was. So TFA, you made the little pillows. We'll talk about the importance of this one in a moment. You can see the pillows that we have out here. So you made these pillows because at that time you weren't racing as much because it was right after the accident, I believe. And TFA, I love the story. First of all, you need to tell everybody, what does TFA stand for? Because that's quite humorous in itself. And then where did you really have your marketing genius? As I look around, I think we can share this with the crowd. There's one or two that might have to plug their ears.
Yeah, I think I know where he's getting here. Yes, TFA stands for Toys for Adults. Okay? And I have to admit, we did get a few interesting phone calls.
They're just pillows.
Yeah, my staff and my office got some interesting calls coming in on the answer machine. I actually had somebody who might come to my front door, and I said, no, this is what we make. And so, but I'm assuming you're wanting me to say my first advertising.
Yes.
We knew we needed to sink about $4,000 into an ad, and that was our budget for a whole country for the year. And I said, we're going to put it on one ad. And where would you think that you would put an ad that said Toys for Adults? Playboy. And I'm like thinking, I mean, I wasn't a big supporter of Playboy because I didn't like, being kind of having them make money off women, whatever. So
But you're selling pillows.
yeah, I'm
so
selling
it's totally
pillows.
different.
I'm selling pillows. So either way, so we put it in the November issue. It came out. I'm sorry, the January issue. It came out in November. The January issue has all of the 12-month Playboy bunnies, and it also drops before Christmas. So you're going to get the exposure before Christmas. And sure enough, we dropped that, and I no sooner had that in, hit the stands, and bingo, TV stations calling. We had Channel 10, Channel 8, everybody coming. They wanted to know about TFA, Toys for Adults. And that launched it, and I was calling the phone company saying, hey, can you get me some more phone lines? Because my phones are ringing off the hook. So thank you, Playboy Magazine.
I'll tell you, that's an awesome story, and it made me realize my miss, because in 2002, 2003, I was a GM of a different Porsche store in a different market, one that was a bit more seasonal. And I didn't realize I should have been marketing in Playboy. I had an ad out in kind of mid-spring that said, it's getting warm out, it's time to take your top off. And it was a Boxster with its top down, and I got a lot of heat on that one, so.
I also.
You market in the right spot.
I had one that also said, take your Porsche to bed with you.
Yes, the ad did say, take your Porsche to bed with you. That's what I was trying to get to. That was the one. For YouTube, if you enjoyed what you saw today, please feel free to subscribe to our page, please. Like us on Facebook, and thank you. Have a great day.